What we want to build is a blue chip credibility and startup upside in the capital markets. We want to be the best way for the capital markets to participate in Bitcoin story.
21, a Bitcoin company, started trading on the NYSE today under the ticker symbol XXI. It's another step for Bitcoin into mainstream finance. Joining me now is 21's co-founder and CEO, Jack Mallers. Jack, welcome to the New York Stock Exchange.
What's going on? Thanks for having me. How are you?
How are you? How's your day been?
I'm good. My day's been great. We're happy to be here. I feel like Bitcoin has arrived in a way. So for a founding team that's been in Bitcoin for over a decade, it feels good. It's a long way from my dad's basement.
All right. And it's fun to go public on the New York Stock Exchange.
Of course. That's a lot of what we want to build is a blue chip credibility and startup upside in the capital markets. We want to be the best way for the capital markets to participate in Bitcoin story. And so obviously that implies being listed, and we're happy that day is today. It's been a lot of put me in, coach, we're ready to play. And today we get to start playing, and we're excited about that.
All right. So let's start with, what is 21?
A Bitcoin company. And I know that's our tagline, and it sounds simple and elegant, but it's unique somehow. Right? So we view it as, on one side of the spectrum, you've got a Coinbase or a Robinhood or a Kraken, and these aren't Bitcoin companies, and I'm not dissing them, but they're crypto companies, or they're focused on prediction markets, equities, different ways of speculating. And the other side of the spectrum, maybe you've got a MicroStrategy, which is focused on Bitcoin, but doesn't have Bitcoin-focused cash flow and products and high-margin, high-growth opportunities that will ride this tech sector through its inevitable disruption of legacy finance. And Tether and I, my co-founders, we've been in Bitcoin for over 10 years. And we were like, is there really no one that's going to focus on Bitcoin in the middle? Both acquire as much Bitcoin as we possibly can because it's been the best thing you could have ever owned, and build products that focus on utility services, financial services, high margin, high growth, profit generating products. And to our surprise, a Bitcoin company doesn't exist in the public markets. There's crypto companies, prediction market companies, there's treasury companies, and we're none of that. And so we're a Bitcoin company, and we believe we're fundamentally different for that reason.
And you're clear you're not a treasury, as you just mentioned. You are a Bitcoin operating company. Can you talk a little bit about what products and services you'll be rolling out to support Bitcoin?
Financial services is how I think the market should think of us predominantly. Listen, a company like Robinhood or Coinbase, these businesses are monetizing things like speculation, which is fine. And when you live through currency debasement and the amount of fiscal deficits and money printing that we're all living through, we're all speculators, whether we know it or not. But that business implies listing tons of coins, tons of tokens, creating and hyper-financializing markets on, who's going to win the Super Bowl this year. We're totally different, and that financial services to us is who's building credit products and lending products in a lending market on top of Bitcoin? What about brokerage and institutional scale trading on top of Bitcoin? How is this asset that is now 2 trillion and we believe is going on 200 trillion? How are people going to find utility and finance their lives in an everyday sense on top of the asset class? And that's our focus. So something like credit and lending, our entrance into that market is a sooner rather than later. And that is fundamentally different than customers that are encouraged to speculate and hyper-financialize. Our customers are encouraged to make utility of Bitcoin itself. And we want to live in that institutional realm of utility services on top of Bitcoin, at least initially.
And I feel like you've covered this, but 21's mission is to advance Bitcoin and that mission. What is that going to look like in practice?
We think Bitcoin is the greatest tool and vehicle ever invented to advance the human story. And it sounds insane. I fundamentally believe that. Listen, money is our time and energy in an abstracted form. You go to work, you commute, you make sacrifices, you do stuff your boss tells you even though you don't want to do it. In exchange for that, you get money, right? And you use the money to both save the value that you've created for those around you, and then to later exchange for the things you need, like food and rent and vacation and to get married. It's so critical to a functioning society. And we feel the money is fundamentally broken. And our mission is, if we can fix the money, we feel like we can fix the world. We think we can solve half the world's hardest problems. And so we think Bitcoin is the best vehicle to affect that change. And we're a company focused solely on making sure its adoption and its growth and its utility is seen in society. And again, we felt like that was missing in the market. Satoshi Nakamoto and Bitcoin started this really novel idea that we could have better money that served the people. And we didn't see many companies both advancing that very specific idea, focus on Bitcoin, and giving shareholders and investors an ability to participate in that specific idea without, crypto and other distractions, or, treasury companies with, too much leverage.
And why do you think it's Bitcoin?
Bitcoin is money. An Ethereum, a Dogecoin, a Solana, a Pink coin, Jack coin, NYSE coin. Those aren't money. These are technologies. I think Ethereum and Solana is closer to an Amazon or a Tesla. There's DeFi, there's NFT, there's use cases. It's faster, it's this or that. Bitcoin, very simply put, is competing for how we all save our wealth, save our effort, save our labor. And so in our opinion, that's a $200 to $500 trillion market. Humans have created an immense amount of value by going out and doing productive things in the world, and they need a way to save that value. And so Bitcoin uniquely is competing against US debt, currencies, gold. It's not competing against Amazon, Apple. And so although it's massive and it's big, we think it could be 100 times bigger. And that's why, we're focused, we see the forest through the trees. We think of the other crypto opportunities as interesting, near-term tech plays, where we see Bitcoin as a monumental shift in how humans coordinate and exchange value.
When we sat down, you told me I can ask you anything.
Yes.
How important is transparency to your mission?
It's critical. Listen, I think the capital markets will get to know me as a public company officer as different as well. I'm young, but we're also brash, and we're not afraid, and we're passionate, and we're convicted. And part of that is we're overly transparent, because we think that the world is starved of transparency, of honesty. Nobody wants another politician. Nobody wants another older corporate suit, in a blue suit, in brown sneakers, telling you what everyone wants to hear. They want transparency. They want relatability. They want authenticity. They want change. They want real. And that's in part what we're bringing. Bitcoin allows us to deliver financial products and a business that's far more transparent than anything the legacy markets have ever seen. And we lean into that because we believe the world has been truly starved of what Bitcoin brings. And so we feel it's part of our responsibility as being a Bitcoin company to lean into those properties and give the world what we think it wants.
Is this Bitcoin for everyone?
Yes, Bitcoin is for everyone. Absolutely. And hopefully 21 can be proof that anyone that wants to make use of it can find an immense amount of value in Bitcoin.
Who is your ideal investor?
We want to be the best way to participate in Bitcoin. And again, we think that this idea of blue chip credibility, a public company, you've got names like SoftBank and Tether, immense amount of capital, credibility, experience, savvy, execution behind us with startup upside. It's not just, hey, should I buy Bitcoin or should I give my money to 21 to buy Bitcoin? We're building products, we're building cash flow. And so it's both blue chip credibility and startup upside. And so anyone that wants to participate in Bitcoin's story through investing in a business, we want to be that. And so it's those interested in this trend in the future of what Bitcoin can do for the world.
And I think we've seen more mainstream acceptance of Bitcoin in recent years. Can you talk about the intersection between finance, traditional finance, and Bitcoin?
In many respects, Bitcoin has arrived. And I think that we're sitting here in the New York Stock Exchange. We had Cantor as our financial banking partner. We see JP Morgan Chase launching products. And I think the theme in the story here is that, Bitcoin wasn't built to be in rooms like this, to be in media like this, to have ceremonies like this, yet it's here. Despite people that tried to get in its way, lie about it, cancel it, destroy it, it made it. And it made it because it works, and it made it because it's valuable. It stood the test of time. And I think what the world is realizing is it's a public utility for everyone. And that includes Larry Fink at BlackRock and my cousin. It includes them both. And it puts us all on the same playing field. And the world is appreciating that. And it's not something to be fearful of. It's not something to be scared of. I think banks and the banking system was a little caught off guard that we can all participate in a monetary base and a monetary system that doesn't require their permission. But now we're over that, and we accept that as a public good, and it stood the test of time. So I see it as just a new chapter in a foundational moment, that this is a good thing. It's a neutral thing. It's a utility thing, and I'm happy. I'm happy that everyone. I mean, again, going from my dad's basement to the New York Stock Exchange is. I'm proud of the community.
And if people want to learn more about Bitcoin, potentially invest in it, what is the best way they can educate themselves?
Oh man, I mean, there's books. I'll give a shout out. The Bitcoin Standard is a phenomenal book. But my message to everyone is do your own research and be curious. We live in a world of abundance now, which is so cool. I made a comment earlier. What a blessing to be alive and participating in the human story right now. Through things like Bitcoin, through things like AI. You want to learn about Bitcoin, you can get out your phone, which is a computer in your pocket, and you can ask it whatever you want, and it's intelligent enough to give you an answer. And so I think just be curious, do your own research, challenge the status quo. Every disruptive, innovative idea was once ignored by the very people that you thought were right. And so encourage everyone to be curious, ask questions. If anything, Bitcoin is an education vehicle. If anything else, it forces you to fundamentally understand what is money, what are markets, and I would encourage people to be curious. The information is all around you. But if people want a book, I tell them the Bitcoin Standard.
All right. Jack Mallers, co-founder and CEO of 21. Congratulations
Thank
again.
you.
And thank you for joining us at the New York Stock Exchange.
Thanks for having me, you guys.